Imagine this. You wake up on a quiet, sunny morning. You feel good, maybe even proud of yourself for sticking to your healthy breakfast routine. On the kitchen counter sits your neatly sliced fruit, bright, sweet, and fresh. You've been eating it for years because every article, every TV health segment, every friend at your senior center says it's good for you. But today is different. Half an hour after breakfast, as you settle into your armchair to read the paper, you feel a sudden wave of dizziness. Your vision blurs for just a second, but before you can call out, your right hand goes numb. A cold, creeping weakness begins to pull at your arm and leg. You try to stand, but your body doesn't respond. Within minutes, your entire morning has changed. Forever. You're on the floor, your mind racing, realizing you might be having a stroke. Now here's the unsettling truth. The trigger for this crisis might not be greasy bacon or sugary pastries. It could be the very fruit you thought was protecting your heart. That healthy choice may be silently interfering with your circulation, increasing your risk of blood clots, and pushing you closer to a dangerous event you never saw coming. As a brain doctor who has spent decades treating strokes and circulation problems in older adults, I've seen this same pattern repeat too many times. Seniors genuinely believe they're making the right food choices they've been told for years will keep them strong. But with age, your body changes. Your arteries become less flexible, your blood flow slows, and foods that once seemed harmless can become dangerous traps. And here's what makes this even more critical. This particular fruit has natural compounds that can affect blood thickness, vessel flexibility, and even the way your medications work. Combined with the natural aging process, the results can be disastrous. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 9 common ways this healthy fruit can sabotage your circulation and increase your risk of heart attack or stroke, starting with how aging silently narrows your arteries without you even feeling it. Your arteries are like a network of flexible elastic tubes that carry life-giving blood to every organ and tissue in your body. When you're young, these vessels can expand and contract easily, adjusting to changes in your blood pressure and activity level. But as the decades pass, something subtle begins to happen. The inner lining of your arteries, the endothelium, starts to wear down. With age, arteries naturally lose their elasticity. They become stiffer, less able to expand with each heartbeat. Microscopic cracks and rough spots can develop inside, creating the perfect environment for cholesterol, calcium, and other substances to collect. This buildup, called plaque, doesn't just clog the arteries, it narrows them, reducing blood flow. What's more, the blood itself becomes slightly thicker and more prone to clotting as we get older. This is partly due to hormonal changes, partly due to slower circulation, and partly due to lifestyle factors that accumulate over decades. The scary part? You can't feel this happening. There's no warning light or sudden pain when your arteries are gradually closing off. Many seniors feel fine, until one day, a clot blocks an already narrow vessel, cutting off blood supply to the brain, heart, or legs. That's when the real damage occurs. Now, why am I telling you this before we even talk about the fruit? Because understanding your aging arteries helps you see how a single dietary choice can tip the balance from fine to critical. When your circulation is already compromised, the foods you eat matter far more than you think. And while most seniors know to avoid processed meats, fried foods, and too much salt, very few suspect that a sweet, fresh fruit could make things worse. Let me share a story that illustrates this point. Mr. Allen, a 72-year-old retired bus driver, came to see me after experiencing brief episodes of lightheadedness and tingling in his left hand. He dismissed them as just getting older, but his daughter insisted he get checked out. Tests showed moderate narrowing in his carotid arteries, the vessels that carry blood to the brain. His cholesterol was under control, and he walked daily. By most measures, he was doing well. But when I reviewed his diet, one habit stood out. He ate a generous bowl of this particular fruit every morning, sometimes adding extra as a mid-afternoon snack. Lab work revealed something troubling. His blood was slightly more viscous than average, and his platelet activity was higher than we'd expect for someone on mild blood pressure medication. This is important because thicker, more sticky blood has a greater chance of clotting inside narrowed arteries. When I explained that the natural compounds in this fruit might be contributing to this effect, he was stunned. "But I thought it was one of the healthiest things I could eat," he said. "That's the trap." For a younger person with healthy arteries, this fruit might be harmless, even beneficial. But for someone over 60, especially with reduced vessel flexibility, it can become a hidden threat. And here's the crucial takeaway. Age doesn't just add years to your life, it changes the way your body responds to food. What once gave you energy could now be silently straining your circulation. And if you think this is the only way this healthy fruit can harm you, wait until you hear about the specific compound inside it that can directly increase your clot risk. That's what we're going to explore next. Every fruit contains its own unique blend of vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds. Most of the time, these compounds are what make fruits so valuable for our health. They fight inflammation, provide antioxidants, and support the immune system. But in some cases, especially for older adults, certain natural chemicals can have unintended harmful effects. The fruit we're talking about contains a compound that directly influences how your blood behaves. Scientists have studied this compound for decades, and the results are clear. It can alter platelet function, the tiny cells responsible for helping your blood clot. While that might not sound alarming at first, think about it in the context of aging arteries. When your arteries are narrowed and less flexible, you're already at a higher risk for blockages. Now, imagine your blood becoming just a little stickier because of this compound. That slight increase in clotting potential might be the difference between steady blood flow and a dangerous blockage that triggers a heart attack or stroke. This compound doesn't stop there. It also affects the way certain enzymes in your liver break down medications. That means if you're taking common prescriptions, especially blood thinners, cholesterol-lowering drugs, or certain blood pressure medications, this fruit can actually change the amount of medication circulating in your body. In some cases, it makes the drug less effective, leaving you vulnerable. In other cases, it can cause the drug to build up to unsafe levels, increasing your risk of side effects like bleeding or dangerously low blood pressure. One patient who experienced this was Mrs. Lillian, a 70-year-old retired librarian. She had been prescribed a mild blood thinner after a minor heart procedure. She loved her morning fruit salad, which almost always included large portions of this particular fruit. Over time, she started experiencing unexplained bruising and occasional nosebleeds. At first, she thought it was just her thinner skin from aging, but a blood test revealed her clotting ability had dropped far below the safe range. We traced it back to the fruit. It was interfering with the breakdown of her medication, making the blood thinner far more potent than her doctor intended. What's troubling is that this isn't widely known outside of medical circles. Most nutrition advice lumps fruits together as universally healthy. Rarely does anyone point out that certain fruits can have pharmacological effects, meaning they can act almost like drugs in your body. And for seniors whose systems are more sensitive and often more medicated, this can be a serious issue. Now, I'm not saying you can never eat this fruit again, but if you're over 60, have a history of heart or circulation problems, or take medications for these conditions, you must understand the risks. Sometimes, avoiding a single food can be as life-saving as starting a new treatment. And if you're wondering how this fruit could cause circulation problems even without medication interactions, you'll want to hear the next story. It's about a woman whose innocent morning habits slowly worsened her blood flow until she couldn't climb a flight of stairs without stopping to rest. Mrs. Thompson was 68 years old when she first came to my office. A retired elementary school teacher, she had always been proud of her healthy lifestyle. She didn't smoke, rarely drank alcohol, and walked 3 times a week with her neighbors. Her blood pressure was slightly elevated, but nothing alarming, and she was on a low-dose statin to keep her cholesterol in check. By all appearances, she was doing everything right. Her morning routine was one she'd kept for nearly a decade. A bowl of oatmeal topped with a generous helping of fresh fruit, the very fruit we've been discussing. "It's my favorite part of the day," she told me, smiling. She loved the sweetness, the tang, and the burst of freshness it added to her breakfast. She had read countless articles praising its vitamin content and antioxidant power. To her, it was a small daily indulgence that kept her feeling young. But over the past year, she noticed something troubling. Her legs felt heavier than usual during walks. She'd have to pause halfway up her driveway to catch her breath. Climbing stairs left her calves burning and her ankles swollen by evening. At first, she thought it was just part of getting older, but then she began waking at night with tingling in her toes and a dull ache in her calves. When I examined her, I noticed her feet were slightly cooler than they should be, and the pulses in her ankles were faint. This suggested reduced blood flow to her legs, classic signs of peripheral artery disease, PAD. We arranged for a vascular ultrasound, which confirmed moderate blockages in both legs. Her case puzzled me because her diet, on paper, was clean. No processed meats, minimal fried food, plenty of vegetables. But when I took a closer dietary history, the quantity of this fruit stood out. Not only did she eat it every morning, but she also snacked on it in the afternoon, sometimes blending it into smoothies. I ordered a blood test to check her clotting factors and inflammatory markers. Both came back elevated. Not dangerously high, but enough to explain the increased stiffness in her arteries and the slower blood flow. The compounds in this fruit, as I suspected, were promoting subtle changes in her blood viscosity and vessel tone. Over time, this combination had worsened her circulation, particularly in her legs. When I explained this to Mrs. Thompson, she was stunned. "But it's just fruit," she said. "I thought it was the best thing I could eat." I reassured her that the fruit's reputation wasn't entirely undeserved. It is healthy for many people, but for seniors with aging arteries, frequent large servings could be counterproductive. We made a plan: reduce her intake to small portions twice a week and replace her daily serving with circulation-friendly berries and kiwi. Within 3 months, she noticed her legs felt lighter, her swelling reduced, and her nightly tingling nearly disappeared. Her follow-up ultrasound even showed a slight improvement in blood flow. Her story is a reminder that healthy is not one size fits all. The same food that supports wellness for a 30-year-old can create problems for a 70-year-old, especially when circulation is already compromised. And Mrs. Thompson's experience brings us to another overlooked danger of this fruit: how it interacts with the very medications many seniors rely on for heart and blood pressure health. This isn't just about circulation, it's about potentially dangerous drug-food reactions you might never suspect. For many seniors, medications are a daily lifeline, carefully prescribed and adjusted to keep blood pressure steady, cholesterol in check, and the blood flowing smoothly. But what most people don't realize is that even the most precisely calculated prescription can be thrown off balance by what's on your plate. And in the case of this fruit, the danger is very real. This particular fruit contains naturally occurring compounds that interact with an enzyme system in the liver called CYP3A4. This enzyme is responsible for breaking down many common medications in your body. When the fruit blocks or slows down CYP3A4, it changes how much medication remains in your bloodstream. Here's why this matters. If you're taking certain blood pressure drugs, cholesterol-lowering statins, or blood thinners, the fruit can cause the medication to stay in your system longer and at higher levels than your doctor intended. That might sound like a good thing. More medication should mean better results, right? Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Too much of a drug can be just as dangerous as too little. With cholesterol medications, for example, excessive levels can lead to muscle breakdown and kidney stress. With blood pressure drugs, it can cause dizziness, fainting, or dangerously low heart rates. And with blood thinners, it can dramatically increase your risk of bleeding, even from minor bumps or cuts. One of my patients, Mr. Harold, age 74, learned this the hard way. He had been managing high cholesterol and high blood pressure for years. His medications were stable, and his numbers looked great on paper. But over the course of a few weeks, he began to experience frequent nosebleeds, large unexplained bruises on his arms and legs, and one frightening episode where his gums wouldn't stop bleeding after brushing his teeth. When we reviewed his lifestyle, nothing major had changed, except that his granddaughter had introduced him to a new smoothie recipe. It was a bright, tangy blend packed with this fruit, which he had been drinking almost every morning. Lab tests showed his blood thinner levels were well above the safe range, even though he hadn't changed his dose. The fruit's compounds were preventing his liver from breaking down the drug at its usual rate, leaving too much circulating in his system. We immediately adjusted his diet, and within 2 weeks, his clotting ability returned to safe levels. The bruising and bleeding stopped, and he felt confident resuming normal activities. but he admitted something that I've heard from many patients. I never thought something as simple as fruit could mess with my medicine. And that's the danger. Most people assume that food and medicine exist in separate worlds. In reality, they interact every single day inside your body. And for seniors on multiple prescriptions, the stakes are even higher. If you think medication interactions are the only way this fruit can harm your circulation, think again. In the next section, we're going to look at how it can also spark inflammation, a hidden, slow-burning process that leaves your legs feeling heavy and your energy drained. Inflammation is a word you've probably heard thrown around in health conversations, but many people don't fully understand how deeply it impacts circulation, especially in older adults. While short-term inflammation is your body's natural way of fighting off infection or healing after an injury, chronic low-grade inflammation is a silent saboteur. It damages blood vessels from the inside out, making them stiffer, narrower, and more prone to clotting. Now, here's the part that might surprise you. The fruit we've been discussing can contribute to this type of inflammation in certain people, particularly seniors with existing circulation issues. While it's true that it contains antioxidants, it also contains a unique mix of plant acids and compounds that can trigger inflammatory pathways in the body. How? In some older adults, these compounds can cause a subtle immune response, especially when eaten frequently or in large amounts. This reaction can lead to swelling in the vessel walls, further narrowing the arteries and restricting blood flow. Over time, this doesn't just raise your stroke or heart attack risk, it also causes everyday symptoms like leg heaviness, tingling, and cold extremities. One patient who lived through this was Mrs. Eleanor, a 69-year-old grandmother who adored gardening. She came to me complaining that her legs felt like they were weighed down by sandbags. By the afternoon, her ankles would swell, and she often had to cut her gardening short because of aching in her calves. Her blood pressure was well controlled, her cholesterol was within normal limits, and she wasn't diabetic. Still, her circulation tests showed poor blood flow to her lower legs. When we reviewed her diet, she admitted she had been eating this fruit twice a day, once with breakfast and again as part of an afternoon fruit salad. She believed it was helping her heart and digestion. But blood work revealed elevated inflammatory markers, specifically C-reactive protein, CRP, which often points to inflammation in the blood vessels. We decided to run a simple trial, remove the fruit from her daily diet for 6 weeks, replacing it with circulation-friendly fruits like blueberries and kiwi. The results were remarkable. By the end of the trial, her CRP levels had dropped significantly, and she reported that her legs felt lighter and her swelling was noticeably reduced. She could garden for hours without discomfort. This case highlights something most nutrition advice overlooks. It's not just about nutrients on paper, it's about how your body reacts to them. As we age, even natural foods can act as irritants, especially when blood vessels are already vulnerable. And the problem isn't confined to fresh fruit alone. In the next section, I'm going to tell you about a man whose circulation worsened, not from the fresh fruit itself, but from processed foods and drinks that secretly contained it. That's where the real hidden danger lies. Mr. Garcia was 71 when he first came to see me. A retired mechanic, he had always been active, fixing up old cars, working in his garden, and helping his neighbors with odd jobs. But over the past year, he noticed something strange. His hands and feet were often ice cold, even in warm weather. At night, his toes would tingle and sometimes cramp so badly that he'd have to get up and walk around just to get relief. He assumed it was just poor circulation from age, but his symptoms were worsening. On colder days, his fingertips would even turn pale, making it hard to grip tools. He had started wearing thick socks to bed just to keep the chill at bay. When I examined him, it was clear his peripheral circulation, the blood flow to his hands and feet, was significantly reduced. His blood pressure was stable and his cholesterol was under control, but his ankle brachial index, a simple test for blood flow in the legs, showed mild to moderate narrowing of his arteries. What caught my attention, though, wasn't in his medical chart. It was in his grocery list. Mr. Garcia didn't eat much fresh fruit, but he loved store-bought snacks and beverages. Orange-flavored breakfast drinks, tangy granola bars, certain energy beverages, and even prepackaged salads from the deli all listed this fruit as an ingredient. It was everywhere, hidden under flavor descriptions or fruit concentrate blends. The problem was that even in processed form, the compounds in this fruit were still active enough to affect his blood vessels and potentially interfere with his circulation. Worse yet, processed products often concentrated these compounds, making their impact even more potent than the fresh version. And because Mr. Garcia was consuming them in multiple products every single day, his exposure was much higher than he realized. We worked together to identify and remove every source of the fruit from his diet. This meant switching to plain oatmeal instead of flavored packets, choosing berry-based drinks instead of the tangy orange blends, and reading ingredient labels carefully, especially for natural flavors, which often mask the presence of this fruit. Within 2 months, he noticed a dramatic change. His hands and feet no longer felt icy in the mornings. His nighttime cramps had almost completely disappeared, and he could work in his garage without constantly having to warm up his fingers. Follow-up circulation tests confirmed improved blood flow to his extremities. Mr. Garcia's story is a perfect example of how the danger isn't always obvious. Even if you never touch the fresh fruit, it could still be affecting your health through hidden ingredients in everyday foods and drinks. And if you think avoiding the fruit altogether means you have to give up sweet, flavorful snacks forever, don't worry. In the next section, we're going to look at smarter substitutes, delicious fruits that actually support healthy blood flow instead of damaging it. When it comes to protecting your circulation, the goal isn't to cut out fruit altogether, it's to make smarter choices. There are plenty of fruits that can satisfy your sweet tooth while actively supporting healthy blood flow. The key is to choose ones that fight inflammation, improve vessel flexibility, and avoid the medication interactions that make the fruit we've been discussing so risky. Let's start with berries: blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. These small but powerful fruits are rich in anthocyanins, natural plant pigments that help relax blood vessels and reduce stiffness. Studies show that just a handful of berries a day can improve endothelial function, the very lining of your arteries that controls blood flow. They also have a low glycemic impact, meaning they won't cause dangerous blood sugar spikes that can harm vessel health over time. Kiwi is another excellent choice. It's loaded with vitamin C, which supports collagen production in the vessel walls, keeping them strong and elastic. Kiwi also contains potassium, a mineral that helps regulate blood pressure by balancing sodium levels in the body. Unlike the fruit we've been warning about, kiwi does not interfere with common heart or blood pressure medications. For those who love tropical flavors, papaya can be a great alternative. It's rich in antioxidants like lycopene and beta-carotene, which help fight the oxidative stress that contributes to plaque buildup in arteries. Papaya is also gentle on the stomach and doesn't carry the same enzyme-blocking effects that can alter drug metabolism. And then there's pomegranate, a true circulation superfood. Its juice has been shown to improve blood flow, lower blood pressure, and even reduce arterial plaque in some cases. Drinking a small glass of 100% pure pomegranate juice daily can give your vessels a protective boost without the risks associated with the other fruit. I often recommend mixing and matching these fruits to create variety and maximize benefits. For example, you might start your morning with a berry and kiwi parfait, have a few slices of papaya as an afternoon snack, and enjoy a small glass of pomegranate juice with dinner. This approach not only supports your circulation, but also keeps your meals interesting and satisfying. Let me share the story of one of my patients, Mrs. Davis, a 66-year-old retired nurse. She had circulation issues similar to Mrs. Thompson's, but was deeply attached to her morning fruit routine. When I suggested removing the risky fruit from her diet, she looked worried, until I gave her a list of substitutes. She switched to a mix of blueberries, kiwi, and pomegranate juice, and within 6 weeks, she reported feeling more energetic on her morning walks. She no longer had the mild leg heaviness that had bothered her for years, and her follow-up blood work showed reduced inflammation markers. The takeaway here is simple. You don't have to give up sweetness or flavor to protect your circulation. The right fruits can work with your body instead of against it, keeping your arteries open and your energy levels high. In the final section, we'll bring everything together: why aging changes, how your body responds to food, how to protect your circulation for the long term, and the simple daily habits that can help you feel your best well into your later years. Now that we've discussed the dangers of the wrong fruit and explored healthier alternatives, it's time to think about how to put these changes into practice every day. Protecting your circulation isn't about making one dramatic shift. It's about small, consistent habits that work together to keep your blood vessels healthy for the long term. First, be intentional about fruit selection. As we've seen, not all fruits are created equal for seniors, especially those with existing circulation concerns or who are on multiple medications. Make it a rule to read labels, both on fresh produce, especially pre-cut and packaged, and on processed foods. Avoid products with hidden concentrates or flavorings from the risky fruit. Instead, actively choose circulation-friendly fruits like berries, kiwi, papaya, and pomegranate. Second, time your fruit intake strategically. Eating fruit earlier in the day gives your body time to process the natural sugars and nutrients while you're active, reducing the chances of overnight blood sugar spikes or circulation slowdowns. I often recommend seniors pair fruit with a small amount of protein or healthy fat, like yogurt, nuts, or cottage cheese, to stabilize absorption and reduce inflammation. Third, stay hydrated. Proper hydration keeps blood viscosity lower, making it easier for your heart to pump blood through narrowed arteries. Aim for water or unsweetened herbal teas rather than juice-heavy drinks that could reintroduce risky compounds into your diet. Fourth, move throughout the day. Even the best diet won't protect your circulation if blood is allowed to pool in your legs for hours. Gentle walking, calf raises, and ankle circles while seated can all improve blood flow, especially if you spend long periods sitting or lying down. And finally, monitor your body's signals. Cold hands or feet, unexplained swelling, tingling, or leg heaviness are not just part of getting older. They can be warning signs of declining circulation. If you notice changes, talk to your doctor right away. One of my patients, Mr. Sanders, 73, is a perfect example of how these small changes add up. He had been experiencing mild leg cramps and occasional numbness in his toes. After removing the risky fruit from his diet, replacing it with berries and kiwi, staying hydrated, and adding short walks after meals, his symptoms improved within 2 months. His follow-up ultrasound even showed slightly better blood flow to his lower extremities. These daily habits don't require radical lifestyle overhauls. They're simple, sustainable, and highly effective for keeping your circulation strong. And best of all, they allow you to enjoy food without fear, knowing that every bite is supporting, not sabotaging, your health. In our final section, we'll step back and look at the bigger picture. Why aging changes the way our bodies react to even healthy foods. How knowledge empowers you to protect yourself, and the safe, enjoyable ways to keep your blood flowing freely for years to come. Aging is not just about counting birthdays. It's about understanding how your body evolves over time. Every system, from your muscles to your blood vessels, changes in subtle but important ways. Foods that once gave you nothing but benefits can, over the years, become more challenging for your body to process. Your arteries may lose elasticity, your liver may process medications more slowly, and your immune system may react differently to certain compounds. The fruit we've discussed in this video is a perfect example. For decades, it's been promoted as a heart-healthy choice, and for many people, it can be. But for seniors, especially those with narrowed arteries, blood pressure concerns, or multiple medications, it can create a hidden storm in your circulation. The result can be inflammation, heavier blood, reduced medication effectiveness, or dangerously high medication levels. The most important message I want you to take away is this. Knowledge is power. When you understand how food interacts with your body at this stage of life, you can make informed choices that keep you safe, strong, and independent. Here are some safe, circulation-friendly fruit options you can enjoy without fear. Blueberries, packed with anthocyanins to relax blood vessels and reduce stiffness. Kiwi supports healthy vessel walls with vitamin C and potassium. Papaya, gentle on the stomach, rich in antioxidants, and free from harmful drug interactions. Pomegranate improves blood flow and can reduce arterial plaque. Blackberries, low in sugar, high in fiber, and excellent for vessel health. Strawberries, anti-inflammatory and rich in heart-protective nutrients. And here are simple rules for safe fruit consumption after 60. Eat fruit earlier in the day to avoid overnight blood sugar spikes. Pair fruit with protein or healthy fat to slow absorption and reduce inflammation. Rotate your fruit choices to prevent overexposure to any single compound. Always check for hidden fruit concentrates in processed foods and drinks. If you take prescription medications, Ask your doctor or pharmacist about possible food interactions. I want you to remember Mrs. Thompson, Mr. Harold, Mrs. Eleanor, and Mr. Garcia. They are living proof that a single change, a shift in one daily habit, can dramatically improve circulation, energy, and overall health. You deserve that same sense of vitality and confidence in your body. Your health is not just in the hands of your doctor, it's in your hands every time you choose what to eat and drink. By making small, smart adjustments, you can keep your arteries clear, your legs strong, and your brain sharp for years to come. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0 point. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another senior health tip that could change your life. Here's to your strength, your health, and your freedom to live fully every single day.